Hey guys, what's up? This is Alex 2K, and today we're continuing on the tutorial for the modeling of the human. In this case, we're talking about the head modeling. So we had our eye, our eyeball, and our mouth start. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start by selecting the eye socket and the mouth, and we're going to combine them. So when they get combined, you get to lose those duplicates. Don't worry about that. It's nothing crazy. So here's my pivot point. I'm just going to press insert and snap it to the mouth area there. And now we can make a duplicate. And there we go. So we got two halves. Again, this is a instance duplicate. So once we have both halves, what we sort of like need to do is we need to append one to the other. And we're gonna make those appends based on the flow for his particular face. I'll talk about that in a second. For now, when you make an append, it doesn't always work, so that's what I'm gonna check for right now. If I were to, if both normals are facing in the same direction, an append is gonna work fine. But if they're not, there we go, yeah. So see, in this case, see how they're like reversed? They're like flipping around from that edge to this one and this to that one. That's because the normals are facing opposite directions for this faces, and those, so this are probably facing out and this in, or vice versa. We can check that by going to display polygons face normals, and there we go, yeah. So the eye is facing in, and the normals for the mouth are facing out. So let's just select the faces for the eye and reverse them. Normals reverse. So now they're all heading in the same direction. Face normals. There we go. So now that we have that, if we were to make an append, then that append is going to work nice and dandy. Now, how are we going to be making this appends? Well, that depends. It depends on the actual topology of this guy. So I'm just going to add this guys to a layer there for a second. So we sort of like need to analyze and see, you know, like what is heading where, and more or less just get a rough idea of how his face is folding. As you can see here, you know, if we had here, we had the eye there, whatever, and then here we had his mouth there. So there are some things that we know are gonna head in certain directions, like on this area here, we know that this needs to go straight up because that's pretty much the form that it has. And we can see this ridge going down here, so we know that that has to follow that form. And we can also see, if we just look at his overall shape, there's sort of like, if you can see here, there's like a slight bulge there, and you can also see that like his lip seems to be bulging like from down there, and we can see that this would actually go in this area there, and here would be his shin or chin, you know, that part of the mantle. And we can almost get a sense of curvature of something that kind of like looks like this on this area. So if you see, then you can begin to find some of the areas, some of the folds that he has. Let me just delete this because that looks very retarded. There we go. So let me just redraw this here, so we can see how that's more or less doing that there. And here we can really get a sense of the curvature of his eye there. It's going kind of like that, and it's really steep on this area. And he has some bags here that flow like this, and he seems to have his cheekbone. That's a weird cheekbone. It seems to be like really up here in the front. Most people tend to have it over here. I don't know. It might be the flash. It's hard to tell. Let's suppose that it is where it should be, which is more like here, and it's just coming down from that area. Just might be a little bit more pronounced there. So you can see because of the light and shadow, and maybe even looking at other references. Like I said originally, just being acquainted with this shape, it helps to know where you want to be heading things, from where and onto where. So let's look at our assets here and Rudy, and let's just open up a reference here, and maybe this can give us a better understanding of. There we go. See, that's his cheekbone there. Okay, so he's got a pretty pronounced lip there. Yeah, so cheekbone, and here it just looks a little different, as you can see. See if we have a little bit more, just by going over some of his references here. So yeah, he seems to have a pronunciation there. I don't know, it's like a weird back maybe, and that might be what we're seeing instead. It might be weathering or something. I don't know, it's hard to pinpoint what that is. It's not like I'm a pro with anatomy, but yeah. So he's got some pronunciation there. It's like from his bags on the eyes, and we can see a little bit here how that goes. So you can see like how the skin is folding, and just by looking at how the skin folds, we can determine in part how we want our mesh to fold, or our edge flow to fold. So yeah, so we're gonna go from up there, and that's gonna come down here, around there, and then back down here. You can see some of that curvature there on the wrinkles. Okay, sorry about that. Hope you didn't get offended with that, but what can a person do? So yeah, that seems just to be like weathering. He has it here a little bit more pronounced. You can see it there. So he's got like a bulge there. Not that it's like a serious bulge, but it's there. That definitely does help to determine part of his personality once we go into the details. But for now, let's just make the main folds. That's gonna go like that, and this is gonna go like that. So let's come here and just select these objects, and I'm just gonna add them to a layer there, and I'm gonna give it a color just to remember what was what. And I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna draw again. So just the main folds, which are probably gonna go from there down around here and back down there, something around there, maybe a little bit broader. Definitely, well, this one that we already have, that kind of like does that, and here we have another one that kind of like does that there, and then this is going to be somewhere around there. And for his eye, we have sort of like this configuration there, which then in turn kind of like does that, and we can just keep extending out from there. So we know that this is going to go that way, and this is going to do something like that probably, and this is going to do something like that, and so on and so forth. So that's more or less like a rough layout here of what we'll be doing on his face. From there on, it just keeps going. Okay, so again, this is just a rough idea of me trying to figure out how I'm going to be directing this mesh. There we go. Okay, so just gonna add this again to a layer, and I don't know if I'm gonna come back to these layers or not, but nevertheless I'm gonna keep them there. So I'm gonna call this rough outline, and I'm gonna color it and rough outline 2. Save. There we go. And just to save my butt here, I'm just gonna select all this and group them and center them. Rough outline group. Rough outline group 1. There we go. So anyway, back into our mesh. So that's pretty much how we want to direct things. So we might as well just go ahead and start doing that. We can either extend this guys out, or we can add some extra edges. It's a matter of personal taste and choice. I don't know. I've done both. I don't know. Let's take it up there. Why not? Let's just take this up there, and just gonna keep this one straight like that, and make this transparent. That's more or less how that's heading. Maybe even more like that there. And this would probably get closer, and this would go down rather. Okay, so I'll keep playing with this. But one of the main things that I'm seeing here is that, you know, if I do this, that way I can make that match, or I can do that, or I can keep this smack in the middle and then just add one more and then add one more. I don't know, I'm just gonna actually put this one here because I know I need to add one more for there. So I'm just gonna put this one here and hope for the best. So let's see what happens. Just put it there and then line it up there, and there we go. Yeah. Okay. So let's look at it there, and let's look at it here. See if we're getting a rough idea of what we need. Seems to be just fine. So let's, if we want to, we can begin to shape this up a little bit more, a little bit better maybe. Why not? So let's add this one there. I might be changing my mind later on. I change my mind a lot when I'm modeling. But you know, that's I don't know if it's everybody or just me, but at least to me that does happen. I change my mind. So just giving it a little bit of curvature here, just trying to follow the contours and the overall shape of him. Just trying to get this bulge right there on the corner of the mouth there. And let's look at this again, solid. So I can go ahead and just delete this here. See where this is heading. Doesn't seem to be too bad. Let's give it a little bit more detail. Why not? So let's add whatever that area is called. Yeah, I'm not good with names, so excuse me. So there we go, just give a little bit of a shape there. And we do that, might as well keep things as even as possible. So we're just going to add a couple extra ones there. So as you can see, little by little we go giving this shape some form. You know, it just takes it's just time consuming really. It's not that it's too complex, it's just time consuming. So I'm just gonna broaden that in a little bit more and space out his lip a little bit more. And just push this one a little bit more forward. Same issue there, and definitely same issue there. Remember, you know, to try and keep things folding. You know, like you don't want a straight line there. You want a nice curve around. So wherever you add edges, you should always go back and check from your views and make sure that you know that you're keeping things round, because the head and the body, it's a very organic thing, so you want to make sure you keep things round. So let's go back here and see this solid, and you know, look at it from every angle, and you're always going to have to be adjusting this, and you know, it's just a matter of adjusting and adjusting and adjusting and adjusting and adjusting and adjusting a little bit more until you're happy with the results. So you know, I'm just going to give it some form. I don't want to get too much in detail here, because you know, there's going to be a time for that. But at least I do want to get the overall shape to look right and to feel right, at least for me. So I'm going to push this guys in. And maybe push these guys out a little bit. And I don't know if later on I realize that you know, that I'm getting too close there and too spread apart in here, I can always go ahead and redirect things. I don't know if it's going to be particularly the case here. It might be though, where I need to spread this out more just to be able to get the right curvature here, because I will need to add an extra one. Need an extra edge there, so therefore I might need to spread things out a little bit more down here to be able to achieve that result. As you can see, it's just a matter of pushing and pulling CVs till you get the right form. Now I'm going to add an edge loop in this area, and that's where I see that it might be getting too close on that bottom area. I'm gonna keep it like that for now though. Excuse me. But let's see what happens. I mean, this is rather straight, but there's still some degree of you know, of curvature there, so we want to make sure we have that accounted for. And that's where I see things go ajar, so I'm actually just going to delete that edge and delete this edge loop there. and I'm going to redirect that edge loop to go down in here, and redirect this edge loop to go down in there, and then we can delete this one. And that's how you redirect edge loops, or that's one way at least to redirect edge loops. It's a pretty handy thing to do or to know, because you know, not always when you're modeling you're gonna get exact from the get-go, especially when you're tired and you haven't slept and all that stuff. It tends to take a toll on your modeling skills, so pardon me there. There we go. Just gonna push this guy down a little bit more, and even our mesh out a little bit, just to have a happy camper here. Okay, so this time what we're gonna do instead of appending is just extruding. So I'm just gonna select 3 edges there and just extrude them out like so, and then select this vert and that vert and merge them, and then adjust the positioning of that. Now here I'm not too thrilled about the way that this is curving. This should really be more kind of like that. There we go. That way I can really get that muscle that happens there. And this can begin to go down, and so can that. And there's always going to be discrepancies from the side view to the to any other view, front view or whatever, unless you made great Photoshop work or had a great reference, which sometimes does happen. It's rare, but it does happen, and it's awesome when it happens because the modeling is so quick. It's like awesome. I love it. But that doesn't happen always. Okay, so I'm zigzagging there. I don't want to zigzag. Zigzag is not really good for this area. There's a little bit more zigzagging going on there. This one, it's there, but I'm just going to dim it out. And hopefully this will finally give us what we're looking for. It's there. It's not quite 100% yet, but at least it's getting form. Might have to pronounce this lip a little bit more. I'm just going to push these guys closer towards that lip to give it a little bit more curve there. Remember, the closer the edges are, the more steep the curve is, and therefore the more of a highlight that you'll see in an area. Okay. For the lip, sometimes you don't want to get confused with the texture of the lip versus its form. A lot of times you think that it looks a particular way because of the texture of the lip, because there's a change in the skin texture there. but that change in the skin texture doesn't necessarily follow the actual fold of the lip. I mean, most of the time it does, but not always. So it's just, something I'd rather get out there and let you know that it happens. Okay, I could keep playing with this all day until I get a better mesh, but I'm gonna keep it there for now, so that we can talk about the connections of this to that. So after we get this basic shape there, I'm just gonna append that to this and that to this, and you can see how there begins to be a sort of like a shape coming out. We can also make an extrude of maybe these two faces right there, and by extruding them, then we can just strain these lines off, and there we go, snap them there. So we can use this to define the bridge of that nose, and that also helps us define some of that curvature, just to change our directions and stuff. So there we go. Now this is going to be heading somewhere around there, so we might as well just append that. So let's make an append here. Where's my append? Append. Oh yeah. And from here. Oops, sorry. What was that? Anyway, there we go. So we made an append, and we can get a sense of the flow of his face. This will keep being adjusted, but like I said, we'll just be doing those as we need to go. So now we can select this extra edges and simply extrude them up. And here we have choices. We can either merge this to that and then move this upward, which is one valid option, or the other option is not to do that and simply just take this extrude and let it keep on going up. It really comes down to how much level of detail do you want. If I do this, then I'm gonna end up having to keep going there, and then maybe looking at the back, it's a good idea to see if there's a lot of information that is coming down. And if you do know that you will have a lot of information coming down, then you might want to just stick to this and simply take this up, so that way you can have a shift there in the flow. But again, that's a matter of flow and form, so there's really no set rule for that. So there we go. I'm just trying to follow again just what I'm seeing here as far as how this is curving, just from the light angle there, and then I'm just going to select this two more and extrude them out, and then select those two verts and merge them. Always remember, you're going to merge those verts, and just keep flowing. And this one I'm just going to keep there. There we go. So we did that on the front view, but we still need to line things up here on the side view. I'm going to try not to move them up and down. I'm going to try and just stick to front and back, because by doing that, I'm not changing anything on the front view. I'm just changing it here on the side view, and just trying to find what this would represent here on his forehead, and what this would represent here on his forehead, and so on and so forth. keep adjusting things here. Man, that's weird. Something's got that. So you can see there's some zigzagging, but it's not like extremely pronounced. And again, you don't want to make it like extremely pronounced. If it's there, it's fine. It's just pronounced. It's not really how it should be, unless it is on the actual mesh. Anyway, so now I'm just gonna insert, and if I do an insert edge loop tool here, it's gonna go all the way to the top, which is probably not what I want, because I don't want to keep it so heavy on that area. So instead, I'm actually just gonna take it down here and probably delete that face, and then merge these two verts. So you can see how we begin to get some of that flow there, and the shift of that. So there we go. And now let's try appending this to that one. I don't know, maybe. Let's keep it. I don't know. I think it works better like this. This will something that we'll talk about a little bit later. So there we go. With this, we got this, which is probably gonna be all the way up there, and this guy's probably gonna be just receding in a little bit. Maintaining the flow, maintaining the form, maintaining the shape. There we go. So let's bring this guy out there. We got a pretty steep turn there, apparently. At least from my point of view. I don't know from your point of view. That's what's cool about point of views. They're so subjective. Anyway, so we're gonna make an append right there. Voila. Okay. So now that we have that, we can pretty much keep doing that process and extrude these guys down and merge those vertices. And as you can see, I got a relatively high level of detail here in the mouth in comparison to the eye, which you might want to try and balance that out so that they both have almost the same level of detail, or as close as possible. That way when you make a smooth, for example, everything's gonna stay consistent. Consistency is a good thing. Just ask your girlfriend. You'll see. She's gonna say, yeah, I want you to be consistent with me. Anyway, so there we go. So I'm just gonna make a extrude there and append that and merge these two verts right there. And as you can see, then I'm gonna have to make adjust, because this is really weird. It's a really weird fold. So that's when you begin to adjust the form to to make it more natural. I'll get back to it in a second. I'm gonna keep this going down for now. Now if for some reason you're too lazy and you're like, man, there's just too much, I don't want to have so many, so you can delete some of those. Say those, for example. I'm just gonna redo this one. See, so if I just simplify this shape to that, I can actually now just leave that one there too. Keep doing my extrudes there, And I'm just going to move that one over there, move this one over here, move this one down there, and move this one over there, and probably down there. And then go back here in the side view and adjust everything. So as you can see, there are some weird discrepancies here because that should be higher up. So something that we might want to talk about of how to fix. So we got this faces there, and they seem to be working a little bit better now. See, so now we're starting to get something that actually looks like a head. You know, there's still some adjustments, like I said, and you don't want to keep things linear. And I know there's still a lot of things that are looking pretty linear. But you know, as we move forward, we'll be adjusting those. Right now, we're at least getting the edge flow to work. So let's just extend this out one more time here, and I'm just going to select that one edge there and extrude it back, and then merge it up there, and continue the flow here. So this stuff like this helps you determine if you're gonna have to add more edges or you're gonna have to add more edges. It also helps, you know, to determine form and see if you're heading in the right direction. Like I said, you know, it's a good idea to less is more sort of thing. You know, if you have only a couple of edges, it's less button pushing, less CV moving, and therefore things might work in your favor just because of that. So we can actually, if we wanted to, not that I'm going to, but if I wanted to, I can actually extend this all the way out there and just go on and play with that area. But I'm actually not going to do that because, oh look, there's the phone. I'll be right back. Hey guys, what's up? Sorry about that interruption. It was my girlfriend. She told me that I was taking too long going over all the details because that's really button and CV pushing in and out. So just going to keep going here, and once we get this, as you can see, you know, there's some unsighted polygons there, and there's some things that are not really flowing so nice in this case. So you know, if I ignore my girlfriend's comments, don't blame me or her. There we go. So I'm just gonna add an extra edge loop there and insert edge loop so that we can go ahead and continue that line on, and so I'm just gonna do manually here. There we go. Still a couple of things here. There we go. So little by little we begin to get our form. Now this guy should be there, and there's like a weird shift in direction there. It's nothing to really be concerned about at this stage, because once we begin to add extra edge loops, then and those guys will end up looking nice. So just adjusting the shape and the form, and we might end up having to change our mind, and I'm just going to delete that there because I think that's just extending out a little bit too much. So delete that so that we can add an edge loop here on the eye. And again, just make this solid. There we go. So you can see little by little how we go adjusting the shape. And then we can just append. I always lose my append, I don't know why. So there we go. We start to get the main form, like anything. The rest of the stage is pushing and pulling CVs to get the right form. So I'll see you next time where we'll talk about the nose. I'll see ya. Bye.